What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Flying with Doug. I am your host, Doug. Welcome back to the show. It's been a while, everybody. The Dayton Flyers played the Xavier Musketeers tonight in the Spotlight exhibition game. Thank you to everybody who has supported me the offseason and hung out with me. I appreciate all you guys. Let's talk a little Flyers basketball. It's great to have Flyers basketball back. Long offseason, a lot of recruiting, a lot of all these kind of different things. And we finally get to see the team actually play. And first things first, let's be honest. It was not fantastic by any means. The Flyers lost 98-74 at the end there. The subs were coming in, all that kind of stuff. But Xavier had a pretty comfortable lead throughout the game. There were some times throughout that I thought Dayton had chances to kind of come back and make it a little bit more interesting. I believe at one point they got it down to 12 and we had a 3 to, cut it to under 10. There's about 6 minutes left in the game at that point. It just never happened. The comeback just fell short. I don't know what it is recently with the last couple games where Dayton feels like they have to get down and then try to scramble to come back. But let's break down the game half by half and, some of the ins and outs of the game. First things first, let's talk about it. The Spotlight exhibition game, incredible week for the Dayton Flyers, incredible week for the community, incredible week for Ohio. It's great to see other teams, other games getting spun off of the Dayton Spotlight game and bringing more awareness to mental health. Obviously, the Spotlight game raises awareness for mental health. It increases access to mental health programs. It helps raise money to fund resources for supporting mental health. Everything positive that comes from this game is incredible. So huge shout out to CareSource and everybody involved making this a reality. Myself, I definitely struggle in and out with things involving mental health. So I'm not anybody who can say, I'm in a good spot all the time. I'm trying to work on myself. I'm trying to work on everything. But I deal with those kind of things too. So it's great to see such a great cause happening in the Dayton community and the support that mental health is getting through the Dayton Flyers program. So let's spin that though. Let's talk a little bit of basketball. It's great to see the Dayton Flyers back on the court. Yes, the product was a little sloppy. It was a little bit, kind of just play basketball type feel tonight. And that was confusing because to me, when I was watching these two teams, Xavier looked like they were there to play a basketball game, work on some things, but it looked like to me that Dayton was just there to kind of play basketball, get the five guys on the court, maybe just build some chemistry playing basketball, not necessarily running sets or any kind of direction on the floor. And that kind of upset me because you're playing a good team, a Xavier team that's a top 25 quality team, a team that's going to contend for the Big East this season. Are they going to beat UConn or anything like that? No, but they're going to contend in the Big East. So I was kind of confused at the direction the Flyers took. That's just my opinion. It felt like Dayton was just playing basketball, roll the balls out, whatever happens, happens. Xavier looked like they had an idea of what they wanted to be, who they wanted to be, and where they were going with the basketball. So didn't love that to start. Let's break it down. First play of the game, I actually enjoyed this. We entered the ball into Zed Key. Zed Key made a decision to back down, go right-hand layup over top. Really nice, easy bucket to start the game. And it never felt like we went back to that. We saw that it worked one time, and Dayton never came back. Later in the game, they came back to Zed Key a couple times, but it never felt like that was part of the mission. Early in the first half, transition defense was not good. Xavier was getting open threes, and they were making them. And that was the massive difference in the game. Xavier was hitting a high clip of their shots. UD was not. At one point, I believe UD was shooting 17% from three. But let's talk about the starting lineup. This is what was interesting to me. Starting lineup, Malachi Smith, Javon Bennett, Enoch Cheeks, Nate Santos, Zed Key. Okay, let's start with the obvious here. You bring in Posh Alexander, an all Big East defensive player, a guy who you're paying big dollars to come to UD, and he's not starting in the starting lineup. Again, just an exhibition game, but kind of a head scratcher for me on the decision making there. Also, right off the bat, there is a big issue with the three guard set that we're working on and we've played throughout. When you have Malachi Smith, Javon Bennett, not Javon Bennett to the same extent as the other three, but Malachi Smith, Javon Bennett, Enoch Cheeks, Posh Alexander, those four guys in any three different ways you want to make it, you have three guys who are virtually the same type of player. They all want to try to get to the basket. They all struggle to shoot a little bit. It's very similar basketball from Enoch Cheeks, Malachi Smith, Posh Alexander. At some way, you have to figure out how to layer these minutes where maybe you only have two of these guys on the floor at the same time. It bogs down the offense having two guys who cannot shoot at all. So to me, there needs to be a set. Hey, Posh and Mally are playing together, or I don't even think you can do it that way. I think it's got to be Mally and Bennett, or Cheeks and Bennett, Posh and Bennett, because Bennett breaks up the fact that he can actually shoot and create some threes off the dribble. Now that was a very impressive game from him. They didn't all go down, but I liked his confidence. I liked his attacking. I liked his ability to take the shot off the dribble. I thought Javon Bennett, out of the four guards, looked like the best of the four. Again, an exhibition game. I'm sure there will be more hammered out rotations when we come to game one, but you have to go off of what you see. And what we saw was kind of a cluster when it came to offense. There was no real direction. I asked this on Twitter. What is going to be the identity of the Dayton Flyers offense this year? And there was a lot of mixed reaction, mixed signals, mixed answers. To me, guys, it has to be pushing the pace, getting the ball out, attack. And we didn't see a lot of that against Xavier. Xavier is a really good team. We got to give them credit. They are a good defensive team. They made it very difficult for the guards on the pick and roll screen on the wing. We saw that get trapped many times. We saw the ball get dribbled off our leg, different kind of things. So we know Xavier is a good defensive team that made it very, very difficult for Dayton in terms of getting into the sets. Not that Dayton was running a lot of sets to start with. Quick question from Jason here. Hear anything about Javon Bennett? Javon Bennett got a dinger there late in the second half. I don't think it was anything serious. Jason, we'll hear more about it later tonight. But there's got to be an identity. There's got to be something that looks like a direction for this offense to go. To me, I would have been trying different lineups like Posh, Bennett, Santos, Zedkey, and Letang. I would have been trying lineups like that. And then your second unit, then you have your Mally, your Cheeks, your Simon, your Connor, your Jack. Try different things like that are actually set lineups, or Musa instead of Simon. Musa, we'll talk about each player individually, but we'll start here. Individual thoughts on each player throughout the game. Again, exhibition game. I'm going to try to talk about a positive and a negative for each guy. Let's talk about Malachi Smith. We'll start with the negative. You can tell that this guy has not played basketball in a game setting in a while, and that's just a fact. It's been a while since Malachi Smith has been in an organized basketball game, and I think it showed. I think in the second half, he looked a little bit more comfortable, but again, the same issue is concerning to me. You don't have to guard Malachi Smith anywhere from 18 feet out. It's just, you don't have to do it yet. I know he didn't want to take a bunch of shots tonight. I understand that, but it makes everything he wants to do, the driving, the kicking, all that kind of stuff, it makes it so much more difficult for him because he doesn't have that knockdown jump shot. It's hard to work on your game when you're injured. I understand that. We all understand that. To me, that's why I think he should be coming off the bench. Malachi Smith should be the one coming off the bench. Posh, Bennett, if you want to do the Cheeks thing, Cheeks, Santos, Key. That lineup just doesn't work right now. It does not work. So that's where I would change, though. I would look to get some more size in there. It's going to be really – let's talk about him because he was the bright spot for me in the game besides Javon Bennett. The biggest bright spot of the game is Emil Letang. That kid is special. I called him a unicorn on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. He is everything and more of a unicorn. We see guys like Kristaps Porzingis. We see guys like that in the NBA. Emil Letang has the light version of a Kristaps Porzingis. He was really, really good tonight. On offense, he can spread the floor. He can finish above the rim. He has the length to block shots. We saw him block shots early in the first half. Emil Letang, by the end of the year, in my opinion, might be the starting center of the Dayton Flyers. He is extremely talented. Yes, it's raw, but the talent is just obvious. I don't know if him and Zed Key can play at the same time. Why not have Zed play the 4, Letang stretch 5? They can switch on defense, do different things there. There's got to be something there. Could you imagine starting Posh Alexander, Enoch Cheeks, Nate Santos, Emil Letang, and Zed Key? There are so many different options with that lineup alone. Even Javon Bennett. Javon Bennett looked so good tonight. Let's talk about Letang negatively. The only negative I can come up with from him is he's a freshman. AG doesn't always give the freshman enough burn. That I don't think is going to be a problem. I think his talent is greater than not being able to play him. And then I think he's got to get a little stronger. Xavier has some guys who are legitimately strong, legitimately tough, and I do think that caused him some minor issues. Xavier's, dude, I was more impressed with Xavier than I was upset about Dayton. But Emil Letang, guys, unicorn, absolutely a unicorn. That guy is going to be special. Next player I want to talk about. Let's talk about Posh Alexander, because you pay this guy, you bring him in, NIL deal. You think he's going to be the starting point guard, and then he's not. Obviously, exhibition game. It never looked like Posh Alexander was comfortable in the Dayton offense. It felt like he was somewhat indecisive. He didn't really know where he wanted to go with the ball. Did he want to attack? Did he want to move? Did he want to, on defense, you could see where he is a great defensive player. He was tipping balls. He was making it a little bit more difficult for the guy on dribbling the ball. His on-ball defense is obviously very good. I just would have liked to see more decisiveness from a guy who's played and had that much experience in college basketball. To me, he's going to be our starting point guard. He has to be our starting point guard. But he does the same thing as Malachi Smith. He does the same thing as Enoch Cheeks. It's too much of the same. So we need to space these guys out and make it work where we don't have two guys on the court that do the same exact thing, bog down the offense. So let's talk about Enoch Cheeks. I think his jump shot looks a little bit improved. I know he knocked down a couple in the second half. He really started to pick up his defense and his intensity in the second half. I think the whole team did as a whole. Again, they couldn't just get over that hump of the comeback. It was 12 points, and then Xavier hits a big 3 because we missed the 3. Cheeks, I don't know. His offense at Robert Morris, he had so much more freedom. So it's hard to compare his game at Robert Morris to his game now. He doesn't have the freedom. He doesn't always have the ball in his hands with the ability to create. I think that has been an issue for him when he came to Dayton. I still think he is a player that can contribute. He is a good defender. I think everybody struggled a little bit with Xavier's length and athleticism tonight and their ability to shoot. Enoch Cheeks has to also the turnovers. You can't have the lazy passes. You can't have the ball getting stripped out in transition. Those kind of things have to be cleaned up. Cheeks, I still think the minutes have to be separated. I'm going to harp on that because I think it's really important that we don't have same guys doing the same thing in the lineup at the same time. Next guy, let's talk about Simon. We didn't get to see a lot of him, but I like the way he defended. Obviously on offense, he's not going to be the first, second, third, or fourth option. But I like his size on the wing. I think he can contribute down the line. I think it's going to take a little bit longer. You take the year, your redshirt year, and you get used to the game. Now, as a sophomore redshirt freshman, you need to actually go out and play the game and now get comfortable being in the game. You get caught up on the speed. Now you have to go out there and actually see it happen and be able to play inside the parameters of that college basketball game. I think that's going to take a little bit of time, but extremely talented guy. Extremely talented. Next, let's talk about Nate Santos, because Nate Santos, I don't know what it is about exhibition games. He sees that you can't foul out, and he absolutely loves to get in foul trouble in these exhibition games. And then in the regular season, you'll see him, and he's not getting the fouls. He's not fouling. He's not doing all these extra things. So we kind of got that lesson last year in the exhibition game. Now this year we get to see it, and he did the same thing. Nate Santos plays like he wants to be the leading scorer on the team. He plays like he wants to be the best player on the team. I have no problem with that. He missed a couple shots that he usually makes tonight. And I think at certain points he had some trouble defending. But I also think there is a spot on this roster where if AG and the staff decide that Nate Santos can play the wing and be our starting forward, our small forward, I think there's so much more that could open up for this team. Nate Santos is our best shooter. He doesn't have to be inside banging and doing those extra little things. Let somebody like Emil Latang, let a Jacob Connor come in and help. Let Santos play more of the three. I know they want to have that 3-guard lineup. That 3-guard lineup got beat up tonight. They got taken advantage of by the bigger Xavier guards and the bigger Xavier wings. That's going to happen a lot this year. You think North Carolina is not going to watch some of this tape and see that they are going to have an advantage in terms of size on the wings? Let Santos play the wing more. He looked comfortable there. It was for short bursts, but I think he can really help. So fouls, missing some shots that he usually makes, things like that. But I think Nate Santos is going to be a very, very important part. I wouldn't be surprised if Nate Santos led UD in scoring. I'd say probably 13 to 15 points a game. I think the scoring is going to be very, very spread out. There's not one star player on this team so far. Next, let's talk about Hamad Musa. Hamad Musa in the first half was kind of bullied around. He was kind of beat up. Xavier wanted to attack him on the pick and rolls, and he had 2 or 3 turnovers where he got trapped, and he just wasn't strong enough with the ball. He is very slight of frame, and tonight was a good example of the difference between playing, U18, U19, that kind of stuff, and playing college basketball. Xavier knew this guy was talented. They did not let him get anything easy. There is a massive difference. You've got to hit the weights. You've got to do more in the offseason to get stronger. The talent, of course, is there. It's just very, very raw. So turnovers, and then I would say working on his handle. His handle has to improve. At the college level, it's going to be very difficult for you to create shots if you cannot have that thing on a string. Tonight, he struggled with a little bit, but you can tell. I would say by December, early January, I think this kid's going to be good. I'm not worried about him. I know AG and the staff have a history of developing these young guys and making them NBA ready, and I think he's another one. It just tonight did not look good, and that's just the fact. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's an exhibition. Everybody's going to be better, as the season starts. Interesting question here from Jason. I appreciate you, Jason. What happens when Marvell gets back? Does he get any time? I was going to save that for the end, probably. I'm going to ask everybody. I appreciate everybody who's watching. It's 206 live viewers. Thank you, guys. Marvell Allen. Does Marvell Allen ever get to play for Dayton? We know what Marvell Allen brings. Athletic guard. He's well put together. He's a little bit taller than some of our other guards. He has a decent off the dribble jump shot. Does Marvell Allen ever get to play for UD, or is this a transfer season? I would love to hear everybody's opinion. I think he is the great white buffalo of the AG recruiting. He, decommits from Georgetown, comes to UD. What's going to happen with this guy? I don't know. I would love to hear you guys in the comments. What do you guys think? Marvell Allen, does he play this season? I think it's going to be hard for him to play. He's behind the 8 ball again. Injuries are a factor. We've got a lot of guards anyway, and we got a lot of guards who do the same thing. It would be awesome if he could set himself apart and really take over some minutes at the guard position, but we don't know. We haven't got to see this guy play except for highlights and high school tape. It's very difficult to make distinctions off of just that. Next player, let's talk about Jacob Connor, the hometown boy from Alter. It never felt like he got his feet under him in this game. He had a couple, tip balls, things like that. I know he missed the 1-3. I like Jacob Connor his game. He is a good depth piece. He is somebody who you can rely on to not do anything that's going to really hurt you in a game. We need guys like that to spell Santos, to spell potentially Latang, to spell some guys like that. I think I'm comfortable with him being a rotational piece off the bench And every now and then, I think he's going to be able to get hot and give you, 6 to 9 points, a couple rebounds, maybe a block, maybe a steal. I like Jacob Connor. Again, but he's not in that role where he's sixth man or he's the starting four or anything like that. He's going to be really good in his role, in my opinion. Tonight, not a great representation. It just never felt like he was comfortable with what UD was doing. I don't think anybody looked comfortable, really, besides Letang and Javon Bennett, because there was no real direction. So let's talk about Isaac Jack. Isaac Jack looks like he's in good condition. He looks like a guy who learned a lot last season. But the rotation was interesting. I thought he would be the first big off the bench. Letang was the first big off the bench. I don't know if you can play Letang and Jack at the same time. So to me, it looks like Jack might be the third center on the team so far. I like Isaac Jack. His his splits are really good for 40 minutes. What does that really mean? It's hard to tell. I think Jack's a guy to watch this season because he can really help this team in certain games. In certain games, he gets played off the floor because of the speed and the athleticism of the other team. Tonight, I think the athleticism was an issue, and that's why we didn't get to see him a ton. But you also have to these are the type of opportunities where you let Jack play and you let him figure it out. I still have high hopes for Jack. I think he's going to be an asset to the team. Tonight, we didn't get to see a ton from Isaac Jack. Let's talk Zed Key. Zed Key, physical, good athlete, solid defender, a little undersized for the center position. That's why I think potentially playing a bigger lineup, a Posh, a Javon Bennett, a Santos, a Letang, a Key lineup helps Zed Key more. That way he can focus more on his rebounding. He doesn't have to worry about guarding the center all the time. He can use a little bit more of his athleticism. Zed Key has a nice overhand hook too. He's a good player around the rim. Again, size, some of that kind of stuff, but his experience will make up for it. I think Zed Key could be like I said in the offseason 12 and 8. Change that maybe to like 11 and 7 type player this season for UD. I just think there has to be some effort here to get him the ball in the paint. Like I said, the first play of the game, we swing the ball over. Zed gets good position. Javon Bennett entry pass, turns over, right hand, and that was nice. It was a really nice play. But we never went back to that consistently, and I'm not sure why. Next, let's talk. Did we talk to everybody? I feel like we talked to everybody. Everybody that played, at least. Obviously the non-scholarship guys and some of that we're not going to go deep into. Let's talk about the second half, and then we'll get out of here tonight, guys. Second half. Turnovers were an issue. We know turnovers were an issue. It felt like everything was going X's way. To start the second half, it was a 9-point X lead. With 4 minutes to go in the first half, it was a 9-point lead for X. At the end of the half, it was 46-28. X went on a 13-4 run. That can't happen. I know X is a good team. I know they were a good shooting team. Dayton shot themselves in the foot with bad turnovers, and they were not making their shots. Second half, my question was, can Dayton make a run? Dayton, they could not make that run. It felt like it got, like I said, it did get down to 12 the one time, but it always felt like it was 15 or more, and the game was kind of out of hand. I thought at the 10-minute mark, Dayton finally turned up their intensity, and for about 4 minutes there, they played better than X played. At that point, though, X had already had the game kind of in hand, and I never felt like it really got any closer than that. We didn't get to see a lot of sets. I did not like that. I would have liked to see some more sets, but again, you don't want to put all this on film now that these games are, on TV, recorded, live, all that kind of stuff. I understand that. So I would like to know how you guys felt about the exhibition game. Again, it is an exhibition game. Dayton does not play their first game until, let me see. Sorry, guys. This is not what I want to see. They do not play their first actual game until November 4th against St. Francis. We've got the Ashland exhibition next week. Then we've got November 4th, St. Francis. That's going to be a nice tune-up game for the Northwestern game. We've got time. This team has time to mesh and play better. Shooting is going to be interesting all season. Our best two shooters, Santos and Bennett, and then the bigs. we need a little bit more shooting for sure out of some of the other starters and role players. Rebounding, hey, it's going to be an issue. We're playing a smaller lineup if we continue this. Think about this starting lineup. Malley, he's 5'11", 6 foot. Javon Bennett, he's 5'10". Enoch Cheek, 6'3". Nate Santos, 6'7". Zed Key, 6'8". That screams rebounding issues. It was an issue last year when we had Deron Holmes. I hope AG and the staff take into consideration that this team could be better if things are leveled and rotated differently. We're going to see against St. Francis, and we're going to see against Ashland we play next week. Yeah, Ashland. I hope to see more defined roles for people, more defined rotations, because that's the last, the last game before we really get into the season and get going. So again, I thank you guys for tuning in with me. We're going to do this all year. We're going to break down all the games. We're going to, talk basketball. We might have a midweek kind of reset. 262 live viewers. That means a lot to me, guys. So thank you. Please let me know in the comments about Marvell Allen. What are your thoughts about this season? Will Marvell Allen play for Dayton this year? It was a fun game. It was fun to see Dayton back out there. It was a great cause, the spotlight for the mental health, everything. Please, 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 if you are having mental health issues, reach out to somebody, get some help, use some of these resources that have been developed recently in the Dayton community. And thank you, guys. This has been Flying with Doug. I will see you guys next week.